This is a recording of me practicing for the PTK Induction Ceremony keynote speech. Thank you for this opportunity to be part of tonight's induction ceremony, and thank you for that kind introduction. What some of you may not know, though, is that it would be fair to say that I'm a bit of a wannabe PTK groupie. I have had a pleasure to observe many of my former students going through the process of becoming eligible, joining, and working with PTK. And I have also been lucky to witness many of my students having gotten some amazing doors opening for them and for their future endeavors, and in no small part, thanks to the skills and knowledge and abilities and opportunities that their involvement with PTK equipped them with. So I really want you all to know that you all are an inspiration for me, and I feel very much honored to be part of this big night of yours. And I would like to start with a little activity for which, to be successful, I would need to ask for your participation. So please feel free to raise your hand or post your name to the chat if the following experience applies to you. I even prepared this a little virtual classroom of us here today, which you can see on the screen now. What I would ask for you to do is to play with me what I call a fairness game. So, if you have ever scratched your elbow, I would like to ask you to raise your hand, or alternatively, you can let me know that this applies to you by dropping your name in the chat. So anyone hurt your elbow ever in your life? Well, I'm going to pick one answer at random. So Sandy, I am so sorry that you hurt your elbow. See, I put a band-aid there for your elbow. Next, I would ask if any of you has ever bumped your head, even if it was not too painful or too big of an injury. Any takers for this? Anyone who has ever hurt your head by bumping into something? Joe, I am so sorry that you hurt your head. Let's give you a band-aid too to your elbow. Okay, I have one more if you're game for it. Has anyone here ever scraped their knee? Anyone? Oh dear. Heather, I am sorry that you hurt your knee. Definitely worth of getting a band-aid to your elbow. I guess that at this point it is pretty obvious to you all, because you are so quick to catch on things, that I have given everyone in this example the exact same thing in the exact same way, right? Yet it was not helpful to all of you. So I guess that the only logical thing that we can conclude from this is that fair does not mean that everyone gets the same thing. Fair means that everyone gets what they need to be successful. I know that this is obvious to you, but, and trust me on this, it has not always been obvious to everyone. And not all the systems are unfortunately yet designed to meet the unique needs of all individuals. A massive thank you to everyone who took part on this activity. I borrowed it from Miss Amy Scott, and it has now become a part of the conversation starters in all my groups, regardless of the group or age of the participants. So what we have learned so far is that making everything equal is not equity. And I'm sure that many of you have seen some variation of this picture in the past. What we see here is that not everyone will benefit from the same support. although we are treating everyone the same, by design, there will be different outcomes. And these outcomes are defined from the get-go, and they are not fair. Well, here we are giving different supports to different individuals. While this is equitable, this is still not addressing the root cause of what made things unfair from the get-go. It is almost like we are trying to put a band-aid to address a deeper issue. Finally, often this series of pictures ends up with a variation somewhere along these lines. Everyone is able to succeed without any additional supports because the root cause of the inequity was addressed. Some versions of this image talk about removing the systemic barrier. While this series of figures that we just visited no doubt is coming from a good place, it is a problematic way to visualize equity. I want to be clear. Equality and equity are very different. But this picture oversimplifies, suggesting that the differences we are trying to address with equity are inherently biological. It really continues this dangerous narrative that equity is helping lesser people and their communities because there would be an inherent biological deficiency. Don't get me wrong, accommodations for physical differences such as height or learning styles is important, but this is not all that equity is. So where does this leave us? Equity is the outcome when your background will no longer be a predictor of one's health, education, or income. Right now, we can predict graduation rates, field of study that one goes to, participation to advanced placement, likelihood of involvement with criminal justice processes, and health outcomes simply based on your background. We can predict community meeting attendance, likelihood of receiving an award or grant money, and so many other things, simply based on these same background factors. Achieving equity means that these predictions are gone. These all are a result of huge underlying issue which must be tackled. But how to do that? Well, I had a chance to speak with your lead faculty member, Dr. Sandy Rath, and she shared with me some of the great projects that the current PTK students have been working on. And honestly, when I heard about some of these, I was darn proud of you. Rather than just talking about equity, your actions are making it happen. Dr. Rath shared with me about the project of compiling children's books with diverse themes and, importantly, different representations. Having different ethnicities, races, religions, ability levels, and so on represented as a norm is such a valuable work. And through this work, you are changing this underlying systemic issue. You are preparing a new generation of youth amongst whom diversity, equity, and inclusion are a standard norm. The legacy of this work, being able to shape lives into such a positive way, is simply greater than you can probably even realize at the moment. You are doing something really amazing. Please keep that shining bright on your minds when raising funds, getting the books, and delivering them to the local elementary schools. You already are my heroes, and you will be heroes of so many others. Another reason, other than just being a PTK groupie, why I wanted to speak to you about equity is that tonight I bring you greetings from Central Arizona College's Institutional Equity Council. In the fall of 2020, our college's president, Dr. Jackie Elliott, launched an Institutional Equity Council. This group has been assigned with the task of guiding and holding the institution accountable for the integration of diversity, equity, and inclusion into all aspects of our work. And boy, we have been working hard. We have revised the college's Civility Statement with the goal of making it more current, clear, and actionable. In conjunction, we have launched Beta Light Initiative. The goal of this initiative is to shine light on the holistic needs of our community and a desire to be a welcoming space for all. We are also working very hard on our institutional equity plan. This has been a big taking, and I'm thrilled to report that this plan is starting to take a great shape. And that is where we come asking for your help. I know that PTK is already making reality of some of these things, and I know the talent, passion, and fresh perspective that you have. So I spoke with the council, and whenever it is a good time for the PTK, we would like to invite you to join us on this exciting journey. It is important to have a dialogue with students on all things on equity, and to have you as an integral part of this work that we as well are doing. So I hope that today establishes, if nothing else, two things. That you all are rock stars in my books, and opens up the door for what I know will be a great collaboration on our institution's equity work. And I would not be a proper biology professor if I did not finish off this talk with sharing the following little nugget of information with you. Did you know that Native Americans had a system of planting crops where they would plant corn, beans, and squash in close proximity to another? This allowed for the corn to give structure for the beans to climb on. The beans provided nitrogen for the soil, and the squash helped to prevent weeds from growing. This group of crops is known as the Three Sisters. Similarly, by us all embracing the value of what our differences can bring to the table, we are able to achieve so much more through working together. And with that, I thank you for your generosity in allowing me to share a little bit about what, why, and how equity matters, and what we are doing as an institution to be a truly equitable place for everyone. Thank you.